All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us.
You've reached the internet's home for all things masonry. Join On the Level podcast as we plumb the depths of our ancient craft and try to unlock the mysteries, dispel the fallacies, and utilize the teachings of Freemasonry to unlock the greatness within each of us. I have you now. And then I told them we were going to do this. I wanted to do some rapid fire questions followed by a 10-word association game. If you're down, if you're okay with it.
All right.
He's good.
We'll try.
Okay. What is your biggest failure in Freemasonry?
In Freemasonry, the fact that there are still some brothers that apparently we can't get along, and I don't like that because I tried. I don't have to agree with anybody as long as we can agree to disagree.
Yeah.
But if you're not even willing to shake my hand and disagree, that's the problem. I don't think it's Masonic. And so the fact that I can't get past those, and there's not a lot of them, but there's a couple.
It sticks with you. That's something that's in your mind.
I don't think it's Masonic.
Yeah.
And I don't feel comfortable being at odds. You and I don't have to agree on every subject to be friends, or to at least be cordial to each other and be brothers. I think that was the whole Masonic concept.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Hey, man, Abraham over there, he's a good guy. I know he's not a Christian, but he's got skills. Why can't we have an organization? We both believe in the same God.
Yeah.
Where we could just ignore that part and utilize the rest of our abilities. I think that was the concept.
I mean, you're building a much stronger society if you can operate that
Yeah.
way.
Right.
I agree with you.
So-
That's one of my biggest pet peeves is Masons that have no concept of what Masonry is. There's too many Masons that don't understand that Masonry is about setting aside our differences and working together at its core. That's it. Bottom line. At its basis, that's what Masonry is. And
That's what I think.
And if you can't get past that, wow, how are you going to go any further?
Yeah.
Well, I've always thought the most unique verbiage I've ever heard is best work and best agree.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right. With so many appendant bodies, committees, district opportunities, what advice would you give a newly made Master Mason like Matt Stone that is looking to get more involved in Freemasonry?
Okay, so now you get to hear about my amoeba theory. Amoebas, they
Single-celled organisms.
Yeah. But they multiply by dividing. So as soon as 4 amoebas get together, 2 of them are going to go start another Masonic group, right? And then when they become 4, 2 of those are going to go start another. And people look at my wallet and go, "Man, you got a lot of credit cards." No, those are dues cards, man. Those are dues cards. You'll hear some guys go, "Look, man, just concentrate on masonry. Don't worry about the other stuff." And others will go, "Man, you need to become a Shriner. You need to become Scottish Rite. You become York Rite." I think you can do both. And the beauty of York Rite or Scottish Rite or the Shrine is there's not as much heavy lifting to join. And you don't have to jump in with both feet in the beginning. There's nothing wrong with getting exposed. I was raised in 88. I went through the Scottish Rite in 88. I joined the Shrine in 88. And there's been, with the exception of the Scottish Rite probably, there's been years where I didn't go into either one of those buildings. But eventually I came back. And so you can join them, but enjoy your Masonic experience and get what you can out of that. And then do the other things when you feel like it's your time.
Wow, great advice. I love it. Okay, what people had the biggest impact on your Masonic career? And why?
Well, I'll start with my dad because he's the one that told me to show up at that building.
You
Right.
wouldn't even have been a Mason if he didn't make you do it.
Well, I probably would have wound up there eventually anyway.
Okay.
I mean, he was a Mason, and all of those other guys who I've known pretty well for years and years and years. So I probably would have wound up there anyway. So him, Jerry Gocher, Right Worshipful Jerry Gocher, taught me more about ritual and than anybody. He was a great teacher. I learned a lot from him. He's a good ritualist, and I owe him an awful lot, and I appreciate it. Guys like Rusty Glendenning, Ed Jordan's a past master of Sarasota Lodge, who I picked his brain an awful lot. Sarasota has some really good masters over the years, and then I joined Venice. Rocky Kearney, Worshipful Rocky Kearney.
Curly.
Kearney, Kearney.
Don't they call him Curly? Isn't that his name?
No. They call him Rocky. You're thinking of Les
You're right.
Ruggiero.
Yes. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
But Rocky put me in line at Venice in 2008 as senior deacon, and that started where I am now. So Bill Burris was a great instructor. He helped me with learning some of my lectures and did a great job.
He would have been your secretary also, right? When you were master.
He was secretary of our lodge for a long time, yeah, and was Zone 6 chair committee on work for a while. So I think when I got my first or second blue orange card for the lectures.
Mm.
And I know I'm leaving some guys out, but
that's okay. It's who comes to your mind. So I wasn't raised at Sarasota Lodge. I was raised in a lodge near there, and I heard the name Jerry Gocher enough to know when I got to Sarasota Lodge, fear this man. And when I met him, what I learned is there's a little bit of truth in everything. Jerry Gocher is a man to be feared because Right Worshipful Gocher was a district instructor for more than 1 year. I think 3 years or something.
Yeah.
And so he knows the work. He also doesn't know how to tell you this properly. So he's right 100% of the time, but the way he tells you makes you not want to listen 100% of the time. He has a bit of an attitude. And so I see why he has the reputation outside the lodge that he has. But what they're failing to see is he's right. Almost always he's right.
He was a band director. I think he acted just like a band director. And were you in the band?
No.
Band directors have a lot on their hands, man. Right? They got 25, 50 people out there with different instruments, and you're trying to get them to do all this, to all come together and work on one thing at the same time.
And you're not doing that with Kumbaya songs. You're doing it by cracking the whip.
Well, right. You got to kind of snap your fingers and get things going. When you get to a volunteer organization, that seems a little pushy.
Yeah.
It didn't bother me for a couple of reasons. One is I had been a Mason a long time, and unfortunately, new Masons come into Masonry thinking, all I got to do is make one little mistake, and then they're going to kick me out forever. It's going to have to be a really, really, really big mistake for that to happen.
Yeah.
But, different people have different demeanors. And
no, I'm with you because face to face, I actually wanted all of his criticism and critiques, and he did it properly in my mind. He took me aside after meetings and would say, hey, you might want to turn this way and maybe hold the staff this way better. And I was soaking that in. I loved it because most people don't do that. They just pat you on the back and tell you what a great job you're doing. And you're like, well, thanks. That doesn't help me get better, but thanks. I appreciate it. Whereas Jerry, he actually is trying to help you get better.
When I was master, he was my lodge instructor. And after the second degree that we did, I took him to lunch and I'm going, Jerry, I know you mean well, man. But on degree night, I don't care how bad my guys screw up. I want you to go shake their hand, pat them on the back, and tell them they did a great job. At the next practice, rip them a new one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they worked their ass off.
Yeah.
And they didn't screw up on purpose.
Yeah. Let them go
And
home and sleep good.
right, exactly. And then we can get to it the next time. And he knew. And I'm going, I thought you'd understand because you were a band director. And he goes, the problem is when I was a band director, I was part of the band. I'm leading the band.
Yes.
So now I'm sitting over there on the sidelines, sitting on my hands.
That's tough.
With nothing to do.
That
Right.
is tough.
And I'm going, I got it. I understand.
All that knowledge and experience in your head, and you see these young people out there, and you're like, no, come on.
I know.
No, I get
You know,
that.
I had an experience like that recently. It was just one of those nights. It was our state of communication. And it was just one of those nights where it's like, man, everybody screwed up. Everybody did something wrong. You know, it was rough. And so finally we had a brother, I believe it was David Wenzel, visiting from Brandon, who is a phenomenal guy. I've worked degrees with him before. He's awesome. He looks at me, he goes, and I'm junior deacon, and he goes, hey, are you going to be sitting over there next year? I said, I don't know, sir. You know, we'll see where things go. When you carry the flag, and just went off about how our guy had done the flag wrong at the flag ceremony. And he's like, it's a hand on the hilt and 90 degrees, upright, free and aloft. And I was like, yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Everyone has their pet peeves. Everyone does.
But I think we voted on that a couple of years ago at Grand Lodge that there's more than one way.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes. Because for years the book said 20-degree angle. And I think it was basically veterans were going, well, that's improper. But I don't think they ever said it has to be at 90 degrees or 20 degrees. I think it just said the lodge can decide. Is that right? Do you remember?
Well, the current combined floor workbook says 45-degree angle. And it says to hold the flag at ease, I believe, as the prayers are given. But it doesn't, what does that mean at ease isn't really spelled out. So I think they left that open to interpretation as to what at ease is with the flag. You're right. It doesn't really specify. It could be straight up and down. It could be 20 degrees. It could be 45 degrees.
Well, for years, that 45 degrees was it.
Yeah.
And every meeting, we had a past district deputy who's also a Marine. And he would give that poor guy, the senior deacon, crap every time. And I'm master going, this is what the book says. All right. And you carry it at 45. And one of the reasons is in a lot of lodges, if you don't get it that low, it's going to hit a fan.
Yeah.
Right.
I've seen it hit the
so,
fan.
Yeah. So you got to be able to bend a little bit. But again, jumping on a guy.
Yeah, that's not Masonic, right?
It's not.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna do it, and I don't do it on degree nights at all, but on just a meeting night, and I know a guy's relatively new, I'll come up afterwards and go, look, I'm not criticizing, and if you want, I'll just shut up. But if you did this, it would be correct, right?
Yeah.
But I don't want anybody to feel like they didn't try, because I've seen guys that come in and obviously didn't try.
Yeah.
But most of our guys are trying, but they have other lives and they got jobs and bosses that they might not like. And there's kids and wives and stuff at home. And you got, you can't be perfect every time.
And I can tell you, as somebody that knows this stuff, the pressure and the fear gets to you. Even if you do know the stuff and you tried really hard, you still might freak out and make mistakes. So you're going to make mistakes. There's no way around it. We're all going to, everybody makes mistakes, even the best of us.
the best way to learn, make a mistake.
You know,
Right?
I really appreciate the fact that we've got a boomer, a Gen Xer, and a millennial Masons all sitting down in one room, essentially. Because I guess I'm still full of piss and vinegar. Like, I get ticked whenever I see some of that stuff go off, and I'm not perfect at all at my role. But I think it was that same lodge night. I had to drive the senior warden home. He didn't have a ride, and so he looks over at me, and he was riding in my truck, and he goes, Matt, I think we did a really good job tonight. What do you think? No, we did not.
Really good. Really good.
You thought that
See,
was good?
that
My
is a problem,
goodness.
though. If you can't recognize the issues, then that is a problem. Because when I have a bad night and Barry comes up to me, my first words are going to be, I missed this line, that line, I screwed that up. Like, I know
Mhm.
what wasn't good. And if you can't even tell that it wasn't good, that's a problem.
Yeah.
They were either taught wrong or they just learned to accept, to have a low expectation of what they're trying to do.
Mhm.
So if you weren't taught wrong, you're not going to know any better anyway. Or if you're in a lodge that's always undermanned, understudy, and they've just learned to accept a mediocre presentation, then that's what they're going to say.
Yeah.
So with that, as you come in, try to get some new guys in, get the, show them how it should be
That's right.
done.
Again, it falls on you to change things. Sorry.
Yeah. Still the
Sorry,
20%
not
rule.
sorry.
Thanks for that.
Come on, Gen Xer. You got all the piss and vinegar. You can do it.
When I got to Venice Lodge, and I'm not being critical of Venice at all, but the very first time I sat in that senior deacon chair, uh, I didn't realize this, is when the worshipful master, asks if everybody's a master mason, uh, they always challenged it 100% of the time, which is clearly optional
Yeah.
in the ritual. And it took me 2.5 years to change that, because you can't change it as the senior deacon.
That's right.
You just got to work on the worshipful master and go optional,
Right.
optional. It says optional. It says optional. And I finally got there. And in the meantime, I embarrassed the crap out of myself because I had no idea what I was doing. Which means if you're listening to this and you're studying ritual, when you get to the optional part, I'm not talking about in the lectures, but in the rest of the work, you should be familiar with it.
Yeah.
Even though it says optional, be familiar with it.
I mean,
So that
we dealt
same
with that at Sarasota Lodge when I first got there, I saw the chaplain thought he had to go to the altar to pray. Thought it was
Right.
part of the ritual, and it was perpetuated year after year after
He
year.
he was taught that.
Yes. Yes.
He was taught that.
And it's not, obviously,
No.
necessarily. And it did eventually, but it took years for that to get fixed.
Yeah. But it can be done.
So
that same senior warden that I referenced earlier, I think it was one of our first meetings. We had people visiting. We had a lot of visitors and everything. Of course, there's a question: is everybody present Master Masons? And I see him stand up, and he gets a look on his face, and because he'd been wanting to do it, and we hadn't practiced it at all, so like we didn't know how to do it, and so he gets this kind of smile on his face, starts to look around, and the junior warden goes, "Don, don't you dare."
I love it.
I think every lodge should do it once a year.
Yeah.
Just to prove you can do it.
At the least attended meeting of the year. Sure, I agree. So what would you say is your greatest success in Freemasonry?
Success. When I was district deputy, we got 2 people into the Masonic home, and that was great. Being able to help people get into a situation where they're going to be taken care of is a lot of work. There's a fair amount of work involved in that, but it was nice to be able to get that done and know that those people are being taken care of. So there's that. Raising both of my sons was pretty darn cool.
Oh, you got to raise
Uh,
both of them?
I raised both. One as worshipful master, and I was worshipful master in Venice when Kerry was raised, my youngest son, and literally brought him to the East for his catechism, uh, and did the questions myself. That was a
Wow.
lot of fun. Yeah,
That is
Awesome.
special.
yeah. So, but other than that, I mean, I don't know. I look at masonry definitely has had a large impact on my life, and I think about it every day. But I've been doing it for so long. I think that a lot of that's just internalized. I do think it's had a big effect on my attitudes towards life and other people. Uh, that I don't know how to verbalize, but I try to live it every day.
I think that's what makes you special, because not all Masons do. And that leads to my next question. What motivates you to keep showing up for Freemasonry after all these years?
I like the brothers and I like the ritual. And I think I get the same reaction from people when I tell them I go deer hunting, and I keep a diary. I've been keeping a diary for 30 years, so I know exactly how long. Well, I could know exactly how many hours I've spent in a deer stand. Where was I going with that? Uh,
Don't worry, I can edit
but
this.
people, no, but people go, man, I cannot believe you can just sit in a stand for 5 hours. What do you do? And I go, well, I think I get to watch nature. I've got, you know, it's fun to me. It might not be fun to you, but I don't mind being by myself with my thoughts, which translates into I like ritual.
Yeah,
I think some guys don't like the ritual. They think
yeah.
it's boring and they don't. So I like the ritual in itself, and then I like to see how people are working with it. So this is what brings me to lodge: getting to see the brothers, seeing what's going on in the district and in Freemasonry, and seeing how the new guys are adapting to it. And that's entertaining to me.
To
I
me,
don't know
I
why.
have to say, like, I've become a beekeeper since I live in South Carolina. And you're kind of like the beekeeper, right? There's all these bees and they're doing their thing and it's working the way it's supposed to work, but none of it would work without an overseer kind of checking in once in a while, just making sure everything's proper. Do you need a little food? You good? And let them do their thing. You're kind of like a Masonic beekeeper, and all the bees are out there doing their business. It's a beautiful system when you look at it that way.
It is. I don't think I'm the keeper though. But,
Those were my words, not yours.
okay.
Last question. What do you think are the biggest challenges that Freemasonry faces today?
Uh, they're the same ones we've had all along, which is everybody worries about membership, but I think that lodges like Sarasota are actually showing that that might not be the end of the world.
Right.
We're getting new members.
Yeah.
So we got to keep that going. We're going to have to get through this next couple of years. I think our country's going through some stuff, man, and it may have an impact on the fraternity at some point, and I hope that it doesn't. And I also hope that our fraternity does what we've all obligated ourselves to do, which is no matter what's going on politically in this country, that we remain committed to each other, regardless of which side of the political spectrum that you're on. I don't know if that'll happen. But yeah, at the end of the day, we got to have membership and not change our values. And I don't the beauty of Freemasonry is I don't think that we can. I'm seeing in some appendant bodies that some of those guys are getting desperate enough for members that they're willing to change their core values, and I don't think that that's going to work. I just don't think it's going to work. If we're going to survive, we kind of need to keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
Just do more of it. My dad said what this country needs is a good depression, right? People need to learn to count on each other again.
That's true.
Which was happening in the 1930s when he was born. And I'm not sure that I don't want our country to go into a depression, but look, we can sit here on a computer, never leave the house. You got 550 channels on TV. You got a computer that'll get you into more trouble than you need to be in. You don't need to leave the house. You don't need friends. I think people need them, but I do think that there's a fair amount of people that are living in their own world and not living in the world.
Yeah. And if the internet went away tomorrow, that would change everything.
We'd all be in trouble.
Some of us more than others. Right? I mean, I definitely want to come to you when I need to eat. You're going to have all the deer meat in the world. I'm going to be over here eating my turnips.
I think the funniest part is if we were to lose internet tomorrow, just how many people would be lost because they've never even seen a map book.
Yeah.
Right? I know.
They couldn't navigate. Oh, man, it'd be horrible. It'd be mass extinction of people.
Yeah, it'd be like, all right, you need to go north. Is that up or down?
It's near the Burger King, right? I got to go to Burger King is what you're saying, and then keep going down.
Yep, go to Burger King, turn left.
I miss maps. When I'm traveling, like on my motorcycle, sometimes you just can't beat a map. With phones or iPads or any GPS, you get too big and you can't see what I want to see, which is the small stuff, the little roads, Yeah. Which you're going to find on a map. So I rode to Laconia in Maine last year on my bike, and I took maps. I used my phone and my GPS, but there were times when you break out that map because you want to see everything at once.
You have driven all over this country on your motorcycle. Practically, haven't you?
I'm short 4 states: Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Alaska. And I'm hoping to get those done this summer. I got a nephew in Anchorage, so he says we can ride in August, so I'm going to fly up there and rent one, which is what I did in Hawaii. And then I'm going to ride up, or maybe trailer. Last year at Grand Lodge, my wife got me a puppy that I didn't ask for, that I love.
Link.
And, Link. But he makes motorcycling a little difficult. I can't just put him on the back. I'm working on it, but I just don't know if it's going to work.
I'm actually part of Zenda Grotto here in Plant City. Our guys, I think it's in August actually, but our guys are actually doing a charity ride from Zenda Grotto here in Plant City, Florida, all the way up to Anchorage, Alaska, and back. So they're actually going to be doing a long fundraising. They're going to stop at the different grottos along the route to raise funds for Humanitarian Foundation and Miles for Special Smiles.
How long is that going to take?
I'd have to call Travis or George and ask them. I think they're going to be gone for quite some time.
This is way off the subject, but about 10 years ago, there's an Indian tribe in Florida that put up $1 million prize, and these guys had to ride a motorcycle from Key West to Alaska, to the farthest point north. Winner got $1 million. And every day they left from one spot and were given the next destination. It wasn't like they had it all planned out ahead of time, because otherwise these guys would have mechanic trucks set up. So every day they found out where they had to check in the next day. I think the winner made it in 5 days.
Wow.
5 days from Key West to, that's
that
crazy
must have been
stuff.
Painful.
3 or 4 guys died.
Jeez.
That's just there's no sleep involved to be able to do that, or very little sleep involved to be able to get those 2
That's
points in
not.
that little bit of
Yeah,
time.
that's not an enjoyable trip. Not in that time frame.
$1 million.
Yeah, I guess for $1 million. I mean, I'm okay with not being a millionaire personally.
I think it would have been exciting. The guy that owns Precision Cycle here in Sarasota, Ron, him and his brother rode it. I think they were 5th
Wow.
and 6th. And he said he crashed, slept for like 24 hours, and then called an Uber or taxi driver and said, "We're going to hit every bar in this town," which was probably only 5, right? Because it's the middle of nowhere, Alaska, but pretty funny.
Okay.
So I belong to some more grottos. So find out how long that's going to take. Maybe I'll
I
jump
will, yes,
in.
sir. I just text one of the guys. If he texts back while we're streaming, I'll tell you.
Nice.
All right, cool. That would be fun.
So we're now an hour and 46. This is going to be. I'm going to split this into 2 separate episodes. We're going to do the general conversation, and this Masonic question and answer probably is another episode. But
Okay.
I've never done this before, and I've seen it done, and I love the idea of it. Word association. You're familiar.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I have 10 words, and I'm really excited to say them. And then you just, as quick as you can, let me know the first thing that pops into your head, and maybe we'll talk about it. Maybe we won't. You ready?
I'm not sure. Let's see.
Number 1, gringo.
Gringo. Friend.
All right. Because you're trying to learn Spanish. You've been trying for like years now. So
Correct.
that's one of the first ones us white boys learn when you're trying to learn Spanish, because you want to know who's talking about you.
Yeah.
Friend. That's interesting. 2, feather.
Turkey. I'm into turkey hunting right now.
Okay. Number 3, trust.
My wife.
Okay.
Word association. So I'm just going with it.
Number 4, love.
Again, my wife.
Love it.
Family, I think.
Yeah. Number 5, aliens.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. Wow is a word. We'll take that as a word.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go with it.
Now, we said we could talk about them. Where are you at with what's going on in the world with disclosure, the changing of UFO to UAP, the idea that the government does have a program and they lied and said they didn't? Like, where do you fall on all that stuff? Because you're one of the smartest people I know, and I'm really curious where you stand on this. And if you don't want to talk about it, I get it. You don't have to.
I was just reading something about this recently, about why we haven't found alien life. And one of the first reasons is because it's hard. They're a long way away.
Yeah.
And they don't have the technology just like we don't, right? I mean, we sent a record out in a spaceship.
Right. Sure, if you got a record player, you'll be able to.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly right.
It's
I know.
meaningless what we're sending out. Meaningless.
I guess it just shows that there's some kind of advanced form, or what we think is advanced.
Yeah.
And if they found it and they're advanced, that they would figure out the technology to be able to read it. The down and dirty answer is if it's an unlimited amount of time and space, then we can't be the only sentient beings, right?
Yeah.
Highly improbable.
Yes.
Then the question becomes, well, how the hell are they going to get there? So how are they getting here? And if they are here, why haven't they shown themselves? So I got big questions about whether we've actually contacted anybody. And you know, going back to the archaeology thing, one of the first things, my first archaeology class our teacher had us buy this paperback book, and the premise was that humans were put here on Earth by alien life.
Right.
The Anunnaki.
And I'm going,
Yay.
why the hell are we reading this book in an archaeology class? And the reason was she was teaching us about how science works, because what that book did is it looked at all kinds of evidence and picked anything that fit their theory and ignored the rest.
Right.
So they just cherry pick. This is the same thing that creationists do.
Right.
Creationists believe that the world is only as old as what the Bible explains, so it'd be 5,500, 6,000 years old, and that fossils were created by the devil to make us not believe the Bible.
I hadn't heard that one.
but-
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Oh, we
well,
need to have a conversation, sir.
Are you a creationist that believes the world's only 6,000 years old?
No, but I was raised and educated by them.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
able to logically deduce that they're full of crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's ways to, you can still believe in Genesis, because God didn't create light until what, the sixth day? We measure
Third, I
time
believe,
by
second or third.
circulation, by revolutions of our Earth around the sun.
Which is getting shorter and shorter over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if there's no sun, how are we measuring our time?
Right.
So
I think anybody
I
that
think there's
thinks
probably alien life, and I doubt seriously that we found it. That's my theory.
Okay.
But I could be wrong.
well, there's a lot going on, like fast. The information is coming fast these days. Because when in the 80s, you would hear stories of like Area 51 and Groom Lake and all these things, right? And it was just, you were crazy if you listened to the radio stations that talked about it. And now it's mainstream. It's like generally known that these things are out there. So obviously we don't know. But I think that's the beauty of it. Anyone that says they know anything for sure is full of shit. Because nobody knows
Right.
anything for sure. Nobody.
Sure.
You can choose to believe things, but that doesn't mean you know it to be true in reality.
Yep.
And what you choose to believe is your choice. And that's okay for you.
Yeah.
But
And I haven't seen anything concrete enough to make me, I mean, again, it's probable that there's alien life.
Well, I don't know if you saw it. They just did a little analysis of a tiny little 0.001 milligram of our brain tissue. And have you seen what they found in there?
No.
Billions of synapses, and the visualization looks like a universe, an entire universe inside a tiny piece of our own brains. It's mind-numbing, the fact that we know almost nothing about the world we live in. So I'm fascinated by what people believe about this stuff.
So since we're on the topic, Chris, and I'll have to send you some articles on it, but my favorite thing about the aliens that's come out recently is they don't believe that the aliens are coming to us, but that they've always been here and they're just hidden. So NASA started out as an underwater exploration, and then they found something and said, we need to get the heck off the planet.
Yeah.
So those sorts of things, or especially if you go in the Christian realm, there's a whole group of Christian conspiracy theorists that are like, no, these, this was described in books of the Bible, multiple books of the Bible, that there were flying wheels of fire, that were seen up in the sky. And so the thought is that the aliens are known as the Greys, which are actually demons.
Oh, see, I saw on a documentary a Christian family, and the father's teaching his children that it's all part of the Bible. All those stories are alien ideas, angels from heaven, they're alien entities. So he's literally teaching his children scripture, but from the perspective that it's all alien. It's crazy. It's crazy what's happening.
Doesn't all of that negate the Adam and Eve story?
No, not necessarily, because they believe that the aliens it's like a zoo, basically, right? So they populated the planet with people. for whatever
Yeah, that's
purposes,
Genesis 6 with the Nephilim.
slave labor, whatever you want to call it. So I've heard lately there's this theory that they're vessels for souls, and that's what they consume are the souls of people. And so we're all just containers carrying around their food, which is our soul. You haven't heard that one? Oh man, there's so many
that one's a new
fascinating,
one.
crazy theories out. And then the Pope just
I
made
love
an
that one.
announcement like 2 days ago, I think. He came out and gave new guidance on spirituality and spiritualism and UFOs and all this stuff. He actually made comments about it, and they're starting to classify.
I heard he came out with an announcement, but I haven't read it yet.
Yeah,
The Pope did?
it's basically the Catholic Church trying to classify like how to deal with reports of abduction or like seeing orbs. Like, is it a spiritual thing that the priest should be involved in, or is it basically something that is against the faith that they need to counsel them on how to deal with the idea of the experience they had? So it's giving some guidance as to how the church should deal with this stuff.
I just want to be clear. This is the same organization that's been forcibly casting out demons for like hundreds of years, right?
You mean exorcisms?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the same
Just making
one.
sure.
Yeah.
Seems reasonable.
Okay. We went way off topic. We're only 5 in. Number 6. You ready to get back in the zone? Okay.
Yeah, okay. I don't think I was ever in the zone here.
Number 6. Honor.
Man, you want one word?
I know
this?
it's hard.
Yeah, it is very hard.
You surely get a vision in your mind of something.
Honestly, I think the vision was Arlington Cemetery.
Yeah.
That was the vision. That was what popped into my head.
Dead soldiers who fought for their country.
Yeah.
Honor.
Well, they honored our country, paid the ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah. Number 7. Faith.
Faith. Something everybody should have. You need to have faith in something. I don't know what that is. I think it's different for everybody, but yeah. And I think a lot of people come into Masonry trying to figure out what that's about, right? None of us are atheists, so we all have some kind of a religious background, I guess. But I think we all need to, at some point, become comfortable in our own skin and what we believe. And it doesn't have to match what everybody else believes, right? And I think that's one of the reasons we don't discuss religion.
That's right.
In lunch is well, if we just keep that subject out of here and get along on the rest of it, we ought to be able to do great things. So, but you need to figure out what you believe. That's what I think.
Yeah.
It took me a while.
Figure out what you believe and why you believe it. Fred used to say that all the time. It's
honestly how I wound up in anthropology. Is I took religious courses trying to figure out, because I was raised in a First Baptist church. I was baptized when I was 11.
Now, wait, what kind of church is that? Now, I understand Baptists are a little more animated, right? Like they sing and they dance, but are we talking about the snake handlers and stuff? Like,
no.
Okay.
This was First Baptist Church of Swainsboro, Georgia. So, no, we didn't do any of that. There was no talking in tongues, none of that. But in theory, you weren't supposed to drink or dance. I'm not saying everybody followed it very well. And I was only 11, so I was just observing what was going on. But by the time I made it, into college, I'm thinking, well, it seems a little hypocritical. They're teaching one thing on Sunday, but they were doing it all on Saturday, which is what got me to questioning. So, so I did my research. I figured out where I needed to be.
And you found your answers?
I'm comfortable.
Good.
Yeah.
Number 8. Banana.
uh, I'm thinking fishing, which is
Fishing?
you don't bring bananas on a boat. It's not cool.
Why?
You want to get it's a thing.
I never heard that
You
before.
do take a fishing charter. They got decals on there.
Don't bring
No
a banana
bananas.
on a boat.
Yep.
Is it because you're going to slip on the peel?
I don't know what it's about.
I think
I
it's a
just
bad
don't do
luck
it.
thing, if I remember right.
Huh?
Yeah, it's a bad luck thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
A
So,
what?
now I don't know what banana boats do.
Okay. Number 9. Field.
Field. Well, that word could have any number of meanings, right? When I think of a field, I'm thinking about my dog running around chasing a ball or having a good time. So,
Just an open space.
yeah. Or I love baseball. I love baseball fields. I went to Truist Park up where the Braves play last week with my daughter. I'd been to the other Braves stadiums, but I hadn't been to that one, and it's beautiful. So, you ever get a chance, go.
I haven't been there. I will have to check it out. Okay.
And
Last one. The pressure's off. Number 10. Home.
home, where the heart is, and where my lovely wife is, and our 2 dogs. Sarasota's home to me. I was born in Florida. I consider myself a Georgian as well as a Floridian, but they make me buy an out-of-state hunting license, so I'm losing that feeling. But this is way off topic. But for years, when you turn 65, right, in Florida, I don't need to buy a hunting or a fishing license. I'm 65. And for years, Florida would do that for Georgians, and Georgia did that for Floridians. So for a couple of years after my dad turned 65, he didn't have to buy a license in Georgia. And then Florida put in a saltwater fishing license requirement. And Georgia went, screw you, Florida. You're going to have to start buying licenses again. So,
Like always, a couple of guys ruined it for everybody.
yeah, just
Like
in time for
always.
me to turn 65, I know. Yeah.
It's amazing to me that God creates all the animals, sets them to be fruitful and multiply, and yet we have to ask our government overlords if we can consume them.
I know that, but if you go back to the 1930s, white-tailed deer were almost decimated in this country. There were hardly any in Georgia. I grew up in Georgia, and I started hunting in 1960 with my dad, and he didn't kill a deer until 1971. So we weren't really good at it, but there just weren't that many deer. Now that, and when you buy a license, when you buy camo, when you buy ammo, there's a 10, I think it's 10% excise tax that goes towards game management. So it's the hunters that have brought the game back. And you do have to manage the game. You gotta take out a certain number, or the herd will do it itself. The nature will do it itself. But we got more white-tailed deer in this country right now than we've had maybe forever. Certainly since the 1930s, and that's all about the government getting involved and managing it. They do a good job.
What are your thoughts about the elk that are migrating further south? I think they've been spotted over in West Tennessee.
They were introduced. Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia have introduced elk herds.
Did they?
A couple of those states actually have a very short season, but they were introduced. They did not migrate.
Okay.
But they were there 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's a natural habitat. They just got hunted out. That, and as a motorcyclist, you don't want to hit a deer. You damn sure don't want to hit an elk.
Oh, no, that's a bad day. I mean, it's kind of like the whole bison out west. Bison out west. I mean, they were, just by the thousands. If you rewind quite a few hundred years ago, and then they build the
Billions.
railway. And whenever they build the railroads, they're just shooting them, 30-30, slinging them out the side of a rail car, just
Yeah,
killing as many of them as they possibly can.
it was millions. Yeah, there was a lot of buffalo, an
Hmm.
awful lot of buffalo. But again, no game management, so anybody could
Hmm.
shoot anything. I mean, when I started hunting in Georgia in 1960, uh, you couldn't kill does, and I think you got one buck tag. In Georgia now, you get 2 buck tags and 10 doe tags.
Wow.
So it worked, right?
I think
They say there's 20 deer per square mile in Georgia,
Wow.
in the country. That's pretty good.
you need some regulation and oversight in everything, but obviously that can go too far, right? Like when it's someone's job to regulate, they're going to overregulate, and the oversight might get to be too much. But I think when it's common sense, it's kind of necessary.
It's necessary, and Matt, I understand your analogy, which is more like the Robin Hood analogy, right? The king went, well, this is my forest, those are my deer.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Well, that ain't fair.
right. It's too much.
And to my knowledge, the United States doesn't have any places where only United States government employees can hunt. They all have to go, and there's a problem with hunting, especially in Florida. It's all private land, so
Hmm.
finding a place to hunt, and there are some nice places, Green Swamp. There's some WMAs that you can hunt, but it's still got to be managed, and that's going to cost some money.
Which Green Swamp is huge. I mean, I went out there, my wife and I went out there because I only live about probably 30-40 minutes from there. It's to the northeast from where I'm at. But I went out there, and so Chris, you're on this road, this random road in the middle of nowhere. I think it's either Rock Ridge or Dean Still, and you turn left onto this dirt path, and you don't exit that that management area for probably an hour. It takes about an hour to get across it because you got to go slower. There's people out there, stuff like that. But you're driving and you lose all cell phone reception. I mean, all you see is just nothing but wildlife, and it's absolutely gorgeous. But I was more coming at it from the saltwater perspective. So I'm a water bug. I love the ocean, love everything about it. What aggravates me is, we do have the management, but there's also mismanagement that comes along with it. Are you familiar with what's going on in the water around Big Pine Key right now?
No, what is?
So if you look up Big Pine Key, Hawks Channel, Ramrod, Summerlin, that entire area right there, I think it's actually from Marathon down to Summerlin, if I remember right. But what's going on is the water is exceptionally warm. Now, I've been swimming in that water, not an exaggeration, since I was maybe 3 or 4 years old. That's how long I've been in that area. But essentially what happened is they built the water dams up in the Everglades. And after that, we didn't get that flush out whole ordeal.
Right.
Army Corps of Engineers came in, built that. We weren't getting that whole flushing out. And so the water kept getting warmer and stagnant and more warm and more stagnant. And so now what do we have? We have stronger hurricanes. But there's something going on with the water that the University of Florida, a whole bunch of colleges are trying to figure out, where the fish are acting weird. So they're swimming in this like vertical pattern. It's almost looked like they're either drugged or high or something along those lines, but they have no clue what's going on. And in my thought process is, well, if you'd have left it the way that God created it, you wouldn't have had this problem.
For sure. Yeah, there's no question. It's a problem over there, big problem. And I mean, red tide. You didn't hear about red tide 30 years ago. Maybe we didn't know what it was, but it certainly shows up a lot more than it used to.
We probably weren't dumping toxic chemicals into the Gulf 30 years ago.
Well, I'm sure we were, but we're definitely doing it now. And that whole Everglades thing. So how did we get on this topic with
Blame Matt.
a
Blame
podcast
Matt.
about.
Blame Matt. It's his fault.
Look,
not
I
blaming
saw a
anybody.
rabbit, I
like
chased it, and we ended up here.
I like
This
I
podcast
like
can go
talking
anywhere.
to
I
you.
told you that at the beginning. I said, Barry, is there anything you
Yes.
don't want to talk about? He's like what? I'm like, I don't know where we're gonna go. I have no idea where this is gonna go. And of course, Barry's
We've
the type
talked
of
about
man who said, well, I can't even think of anything. And I'm like, well, there you go. We should be fine.
Yeah, we've talked about hunting, fishing, and
And
aliens.
aliens,
So
that's right.
we're bringing this whole thing full circle.
Indiana
Right.
Jones
Yeah.
came up multiple times. I mean, listen,
Well,
this is the second time we recorded with this is now going to be 2 full episodes. So, this just hopefully shows you how impactful and important I think you are to the fraternity. Barry is a true Mason, like what Masons are supposed to be. Someone who's legitimately trying to become a better person. I've watched him make mistakes, recognize those mistakes, apologize for those mistakes. Not every Mason does that. I've watched you try to listen to somebody that you completely disagree with because you're actually trying to understand their position, not just waiting for your turn to talk. I've seen you give guidance to people when they needed it. Like, you really are exactly what the fraternity needs. And you're a pillar in our lodge. I feel guilty that I'm not there to help you, continue on what you've been doing. I do feel amount of guilt for that, but I'll do what I can always from wherever I am, honestly, for that lodge, and to support those guys.
I know you
Of
will.
course I will, but I'll do anything I can. But at the end of the day, it's going to be up to those guys. And I know you're of the same mind. You can't do it for them. They
Yeah.
have to find their own way. And all we can do is
True.
support them at the end of the day, because that's what good Masons do. So I'm really happy that you could come on and spend this time with us. I feel like I learned a little more about you than I knew before. And I'm hoping that people that aren't even Masons listen to this episode, because they'll get to see what really goes on. It really is real people here, just trying to do good. You've lived a lifetime as a Mason now, practically.
I haven't even got a 40-year award, man. Come on.
Really? 80?
I was raised in '88, so where's that put
Well,
me? 2028 will be 40.
you're talking to Matt, who's not even got a year under his belt, and I haven't even got 5 years, I think, under mine. Maybe just 5. So
It'll be here before you know it. Enjoy
if
every
we're
minute
lucky,
of it.
right? If we're lucky, there's no guarantees.
No.
And that's one thing I have to say that I've always found, like, I look up to you because I feel like you're living your life to the fullest. You're always in the moment wherever you are. And that's something I really do look up to. And I want to be more like that in my life. Just be present with the people wherever you are and whatever you're doing. You're doing a great job of that. And I don't know how long it took you to get there, but you're there. And I think people feel that when they talk to you, that they're, even if they disagree with you, you're looking at them as a human being, and they're going to be able to have a conversation with you, and that's rare these days, and really necessary. So you're really valuable to the fraternity in our district, especially because I know you're not just about one lodge. You're really active in like 4 lodges at least that I know of, and you're probably ancillary active in 9 to 10 lodges on a regular
I
basis.
don't know about that.
You are. And the thing is, you're 70 years old and you're not slowing down. This is our fraternity's greatness, is that there is no age limit. Like, you're a warrior. You're a gladiator out there in the field, still doing the work, still fighting at 70 years old. And I don't see you slowing down anytime soon. So that's another thing
I'm afraid to slow
I look
down.
up to you for that.
Slowing down's not a good idea.
Yeah.
You don't want to slow down. That's what I'm telling my friends my age is, do not sit in front of the TV and spend all your time looking at Facebook. It's not going to be good for you.
A lot of regrets. That's what you're going to have.
Yeah, well, I don't know what you're going to have. That's why I don't. If you're a friend of mine on Facebook and you never hear from me, it's because I don't.
I'm
Facebook.
a friend of yours and I
So-
never hear from you.
You won't. Exactly right. Every now and then I'll like something that has got a picture of my grandkids in it, and that's about it. So,
Speaking of not sitting around and being slothful, I just heard back from one of the guys who are going on that motorcycle ride.
yep.
It is the entire month of August. It's from August
Wow.
1st to September 3rd.
Wow.
And that's Brother George Maxwell. He's a freshly raised Master Mason. We'll be doing catechism this upcoming week for his Master Mason give back. But yeah, so shout out to Brother Maxwell and Brother Travis. Two great brothers.
That's still going to be a trip. I did in 21. I did 9,700 miles. We went to California up the West Coast and back, and that was 40 days. So to do that in 30. Of course, we got a friend, Chris, who rode a bicycle from California to Venice in 30 days. A bicycle
Yeah,
in
that's
30
crazy.
days.
That's insane.
It is crazy.
But he's in great
So-
shape. Like I'd have a heart attack 10 minutes in. He's a beast.
He's younger than we are too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we'll go with that. It's because he's younger.
yeah, that's what I'm going with.
That's
So-
Brother Bob Gatens. He's from
Yep.
Inglewood Lodge, and he's an up and coming guy in District 23. I saw that the first time I laid eyes on him. I knew he was going to be a leader in the future.
Yes, he's a good man and a good ritualist.
Yeah, because he tries.
So, yeah, he does. He takes everything serious. Hunter too, man. That guy goes out. You don't see him when you're hunting because he goes out in the morning, doesn't come out till dark. So he likes it out there.
Well, thank you again, Right Worshipful Heart. Anything? I always like to leave our guests with the last word. Is there anything you'd like to say to the world, Mason or non-Masons who might be listening to this podcast?
No, there's nothing I need to say to the world. But I do, Chris, it's always a pleasure talking with you and Matt. Nice to meet you. I'd like to come up to your lodge sometime.
Please, you're always welcome.
Okay. But thanks for what you do with Masonry, Chris. We got way off the subject of Masonry in this thing, but it's fun. And anything I can do to help you guys, y'all let me know.
Fair enough. Thank you, sir. We'll look forward to seeing you next time. I'll see you at Grand Lodge. Actually, we're bunking up. We're sharing a room together. I apologize for the snoring already.
Don't worry about it. It'll be dueling snoring. So we'll be fine. I'll see you Sunday.
All right.
Okay. Thanks, y'all.